He's a mechanical engineer I've known for years who really gets around Silicon Valley. I asked him to give me the grand tour.
It's a lot of scaffolding.
Yeah, it's incredible.
At first glance, it appears almost nothing has changed in 100 years. But really, this thing is a mix of the super old and the super new.
So this is one of 12 of the electric motors that propel the ship.
Okay.
And it's, you can see it's motors mounted on a pylon, which can rotate. So think of this airship as a giant quadcopter. All these are thrust vectored. They can be pointed in order to lift the ship straight up or move laterally. And then here, this outer material is kind of leveraged from racing sailboats.
Okay.
This is how it's laced on, and this is a kind of an anachronism from the way airships were built 100 years ago. There's 40,000 of these lacing tabs. Each one is laced by hand.
Jeez.
The Pathfinder 1 skeleton is made of carbon fiber, making it lighter and stronger than past airships. The ship will run on diesel to start, but LTA hopes to switch to either solar or some form of hydrogen power in the future. Overall, the airship will be much slower than a plane, but at least the passengers will feel virtuous about their carbon footprint.
I've never been in a gondola.
Designed to seat about 10 people. It's used commercially for sightseeing by the Zeppelin company on their NT airships.
And so if you're doing like a 2-3 day journey from London to New York, you're hanging out in here for
in this space.
Admittedly, for a futuristic airship, this is an underwhelming interior. But this ship is just an experimental vehicle, the first of its kind and not for the public. And the company has bigger things in mind than just leisurely sky cruises.
I think you guys are most interested in kind of disaster scenarios. I mean, that's the heart of why you're making this thing.
Right. When you arrive at a disaster site, you often show up and the place is wrecked, and so the port may not be working. You then have to get your supplies to where the disaster is. And typically, the roads are gone. Helicopters are really expensive to operate. They have limited range and limited capacity to lift things. So that's where an airship can also help.
And it's the cargo, right? I mean, they can carry a significant amount of stuff.
Right. We've studied airships that could carry up to 200 tons of cargo. Our approach is scalable to build larger airships that could carry even more.
All right, we've gone tail to snout.
Yeah.
So this giant thing is like a custom-made anchor, kind of.
Exactly. This is what we call our mast trailer.
Okay.
It's one of the major advantages of an airship. All you need to land is one of these portable masts.
You know, we hope to be flying by the end of the year.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do still.
Al promised my 2 kids one of the first rides.
It'll be a great ride. Remember. Your kids, though, flight test engineers.
Just keep them safe.
And as much as I want my kids waving to me from the gondola on that very first flight, I can't help but imagine things going horribly, disastrously wrong. It is unfortunate that airships are synonymous with fiery death. But ever since that fateful day in 1937, one small town in Germany, the home of the Hindenburg, has led a PR campaign to resuscitate the airship's image.
The world needs ways to reduce carbon emissions.
We're working on solutions for our business.
Like carbon capture.
That can also help businesses like yours.
Heavy industry with low emissions. Let's deliver.
My parents emigrated here from the Dominican Republic. My dad was a cook. My mother was a housekeeper. They barely had a bank account. The concept of a 401k was not there. Nuveen is an asset manager. When I think about generational investing, I think about stability and lower volatility. We share similar goals with Wells Fargo. Think about the good that we can do in helping the Hispanic and African American communities retire with dignity.
The dream of the Zeppelin is alive in Friedrichshafen. The town is embedded with airship propaganda, and they start them young. This is your gaseous god. There's a parallel world where this is the norm, and I'll admit, I'm jealous. As far as weird stories go, this one is wonderfully weird. Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin was a great airship pioneer in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And the man could not be stopped. He convinced all of Germany to fund his work in an early version of a Kickstarter campaign. And his company even managed to convince the Allies into letting Germany keep making airships after World War I. The Count died in 1917. Shame. But he donated all his Zeppelin intellectual property to the city of Friedrichshafen. Wunderbar. And, bizarrely, his inventions were picked up by the aerospace and automotive industries and turned into the basis of a multi-billion-dollar empire. Friedrichshafen gets a big chunk of this money today, and its residents get free vacations and free education as a result. Well done, Count.
Dieses Museum wird teilweise durch die Zeppelin-Stiftung finanziert, aber eben auch eine Universität zum Beispiel. Wir haben aber auch Kindergärten, Schwimmbäder und so weiter. Also es ist schon ein ganz guter Wohlstand hier, der sich zurückführen lässt, ganz klar, auf Carl Zeppelin und seinen Unternehmergeist. Er war wirklich ein innovativer Geist und er war eigentlich jemand, der in Friedrichshafen das erste Silicon Valley gegründet hat.
Where does people's fascination with Zeppelins come from? You know, why are these things so interesting?
Ich glaube, das hat viel mit der Hindenburg natürlich zu tun und mit dem Unglück der Hindenburg.
Tragedy strikes. A terrific explosion in the tail fin of the dirigible, and passengers and crew hurl themselves out of the ship into the ground.
Maybe if there wasn't video and all this reporting about this event, maybe airships wouldn't have fallen out of favor as much as they did for a period.
Ja, genau. Und es war natürlich in der Zeit des Nationalsozialismus. Und wenn man heute zum Beispiel Spielfilme anschaut oder auch Videogames anschaut, wo der Zeppelin auch als Kriegsinstrument oder als Flugzeugersatz auftaucht, dann sind es oft auch Nazis, die da drin sind in diesen Luftschiffen, ne?
Despite their reputation as both fiery death traps and Nazi tools of war, I still want to ride one.
There she blows. My airship awaits. Everyone tells you how awesome the experience is going to be. Now they've talked me into it. This is crazy. You can you feel this incline, but so gently. Holy man, this is crazy. I genuinely feel like a wizard. It's like, it's so hard to explain. Like surfing in the sky.
Of course, the real wizards sit up front. Meet Catherine Board, one of the Zeppelin flying elite.
It's got to be a relatively small club out of all the pilot clubs. Maybe this is the smallest, or?
Notice whenever you mention a pilot's name, we tend to know them. It's a very small club. There are more astronauts than airship pilots.
Okay, all right, and so that means what? We're talking about like?
Maybe 15 Zeppelin pilots.
Okay.
The great thing about flying an airship is it's fly by feel, not by numbers. the big airplanes is very much fly-by-night.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there is a bit of feel and skill when they finally actually do touch the controls, which is almost never. But it's different every day, and we go on the road and we fly out of fields, we fly out of big airports, small airports.
There's something like, I don't know if magical is the right word, it's almost like an illusion in your head, though, to see this big thing that kind of moves gracefully but slowly, and it's just so unlike any other craft you're used to.
It is a ship. Just looking at how, the ship loading and the centre of buoyancy, centre of gravity, centre of lift, all these things are exactly the same because we do float. We float in the air just like a boat on the water. The only difference is you can't see the waves.
Yeah. I gotta poke my head out the window.
Yeah, do that, yeah?
That's crazy. I feel like a dog, full happiness and everything. I don't love heights, but when I stick my head out the window, it's not scary or anything at all. So cool. Now, there are these startups trying to build new airships. Is this like an exciting time for you, the idea that maybe we have new airships and this technology is coming back again?
Es ist eine großartige Idee und es wäre natürlich toll, wenn das klappen würde, das amerikanische Projekt. Denn ich bin gespannt, ob das sich umsetzen lässt.
To find out if the airship has a future, I headed back to America. Did I take a Zeppelin? Only in my dreams.
The world needs ways to reduce carbon emissions.
ExxonMobil can help. We're working on solutions for our business.
That can also help businesses like yours.
Heavy industry with low emissions. Let's deliver.
Top names in tech are on Bloomberg.
There is a natural tension between the need of a supplier to scale and the need of the customer, the car maker, to differentiate, try to make something that is unique.
We have a long-term partnership with Tesla, and it's still strong, but Tesla is not the only partner that we're seeking, and we want to diversify and really make the EV market in general stronger and sustainable.
All these devices becoming smart devices, they all need a brain inside that helps them learn what to do. That brain inside is ARM.
I'm believing the next user experience is going to be based on Gen AI on the phones. We're optimistic that we could start to see devices as early as this year.
Our job is to provide great index products and then to be the listing exchange for those index products that allow investors to invest in all sorts of tradable instruments, including now Bitcoin.
Nobody covers technology like Bloomberg. Context changes everything.
If Lighter Than Air is successful, then the future of the airship will take place not in Germany or Silicon Valley, but here in Akron, Ohio, where it all began in the first place. The Navy airships USS Akron and USS Macon were built here in the 1930s. Goodyear kept going with this work and created its blimping empire. Now, Lighter Than Air has taken over this facility, known as the Air Dock. It's where Sergei's even bigger airships will come to life.
Thank you for joining us here in the Akron Air Dock. Behind me, you can see the beginning of our next airship that we're building right here in Akron. It will be the largest airship built in the United States since the Macon was built in 1932. This is our very first test section, and this is where we're going to build Pathfinder 3, which will be 600 feet long and 100 feet in diameter with a total lift of nearly 100 tons.
Why did you come to this facility? Just for the history and the people, but I guess just in its size offers you something else as well.
Yes, here we are building the airship factory of the future. We can build larger airships here year-round than you can build anywhere else in the world. So that's why we're here. If you want to, we can probably organize someone to take you to the top of the air dock.
What is it, an elevator, or do I have to climb?
No, there's a funicular that takes you to the top.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go and organize that.
To take us up the funicular, we grabbed Harry, Pathfinder 3 program manager and Ohio local.
This is the part where I'm supposed to tell you, and it hasn't been certified in 30 years. 100-year-old equipment, no. Okay, so everybody good?
All right.
Braced, ready?
I'm braced.
Up goes the 90-year-old elevator. Have I mentioned I'm not a big fan of heights?
And one more. Okay.
Okay.
You know, when you look up, it looks kind of big, right? But then whenever you get here and you look down and you see like trucks and those gigantic boom boxes,
Holy
it's
crap!
Like, it looks like ants.
The
right?
truck looks like nothing.
Yeah,
like a toy. Wow, that is crazy. This is making me feel a little queasy.
When you work with people here or you grow up around here, everybody's got a story about the air dock, whether their great-grandparents or somebody had worked here in the past, or you have a lot of family that worked for Goodyear, like I had grandparents that worked at Goodyear. But seeing the blimp overhead, it didn't really mean much as a kid. It was a beautiful thing, and it's such a cool thing to see it. But then you realize, well, this is really special for us, right? Because, you know, you go a lot of places, you don't really see this. And so you just have this kind of emotional attachment to it every time you see it.
It almost feels like this place has been waiting patiently for decades for airship building to start up again. And that's a lovely notion. But there's every reason to think all of this might fail. Sergey, in fact, has invested in airships before. He backed a company called Airship Ventures that flew people on joyrides around the Bay Area. But it folded after a couple of years. Long-range trips, hauling hundreds of tons of cargo, even dicier.
So what do you make of LTA and Sergey? You've got this guy who's got enough money to do whatever he wants, and it's not even immediately going after tourism, is going more after, he says, disaster relief and cargo. I mean, is it exciting to see somebody trying to build a new large ship? It must be for you to have somebody putting money into this.
How honest do you want me to be?
Very honest.
Okay. I don't want to piss off any of these companies, and kudos to them for giving it a go. But to this day, I find it difficult to imagine the cargo disaster relief. I find that difficult. I think that's going to take a very long time. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's going to take a very long time to iron out the issues with something that big.
It's just right to try this again.
Al Weston, though, remains a true believer.
I'm curious where you see all this going. I know when you give your history of airships, you start by saying, I'm Al Weston, I'm here to darken the skies, which would imply that you want to make a lot of airships. You know, is that the plan, or is this you know, a limited number of vehicles for the disaster relief type efforts? What are you picturing?
From the beginning of this, I've been really intrigued about the question, can these airships be made quickly and affordably enough to be mass-produced? Does it make sense to make 100 or 1,000? Studies have suggested that there is a market, but can we actually do it? I think that we're standing on the shoulders of giants, but at the same time, we're leveraging new technologies, new software, new materials that the people in the past could only have dreamt of. I believe that we can make a lot of airships, but we have to complete the first one.
Right.
There are plenty of reasons why airships aren't practical. They're slow. They're complicated. They're expensive. They can only fly in specific weather conditions. The list goes on. But there's a feeling that you get when you see these massive sky whales drifting through the clouds. It's a feeling of wonder and of whimsy. And I think it's that feeling that keeps the dreams of airships aloft.
The world needs ways to reduce carbon emissions,
especially for heavy industry. We're working on solutions in our own operations.
Like carbon capture. And clean energy from hydrogen.
So who are we?
Believe it or not, ExxonMobil. And these solutions can help businesses like yours.
Or yours.
Or yours.
Heavy industry with low emissions. Let's deliver.
Everyone's talking about AI. But how can it help your business? Can it make chatbots act like your very own personal assistant? Yes. Put AI to work with ServiceNow.
In the parking space. Then I crossed paths with Penny Pritzker, who later became our Secretary of Commerce. And she liked the idea, and she and I went off on this adventure together and built a real estate operating company in the parking space.
It's the world's second largest economy with a growing influence in global affairs. But geopolitical uncertainties, deflationary pressures, and questions about foreign investment linger. Bloomberg, the China Show, brings you the unmatched expertise you need to keep track of breaking news, in-depth market analysis, and the most influential newsmakers in and around China. Bloomberg, the China Show, now weekdays at 9 a.m. Hong Kong time, right here on Bloomberg. Context changes everything.
This is Bloomberg News Now.
News when you want it at the touch of a button.
Another volatile day on Wall Street. We're seeing big moves.
All eyes on Capitol Hill as Democrats and Republicans prepare.
Today's job numbers casting doubt on the Fed's next move. Inflation remains front and center. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. Get it 24/7 on the Bloomberg Business app, Bloomberg.com, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
Bloomberg News Now. Context changes everything.
Regional sports networks. There's a lot of, it's a business that seems to be collapsing. Leagues have sort of toyed around with, should we do something ourselves? Some teams are doing like local TV and streaming. How do you see that shaking out?
So I don't think I'm right on this, but this is, my instincts keep telling me this is what's gonna happen. Because if you remember the WWE, they launched their own network that had their own content and had their own pay-per-views. And it was kind of a smart, bold, ahead of its time move. And then they pivoted at the perfect time and they sold their content to, what was it, Peacock?
Yeah.
And that was really smart too because they were able to leverage that number as high as possible. So they always zagged where the money was and when the opportunity was. I think the opportunity for the NBA with the local teams would be to own all that themselves.
Bloomberg covers the world with unmatched reach and resources. From more than 120 countries, the moment news breaks, 24 hours a day. Bloomberg, context changes everything. Why do the biggest names in business choose Bloomberg?
That is a great question.
It's a great question.
Great question.
Great question.
That's a question I get all night.
Bloomberg, top experts, great questions.
What do you love about this country?
I love that it's small, and I love that we're existing. And we have to be proud that we have a country.
Kyrgyzstan, aka the Kyrgyz Republic, is perhaps not the most obvious place to visit for a show about technology. Kyrgyzstan used to be part of the Soviet Union, so it has lots of Soviet stuff laying around. Soviet government buildings, Soviet sculptures, Soviet theme parks with an extra dollop of wintry dystopia. There's even Vlad, the dead one, fresh from a snowball fight. In the winter, the capital city of Bishkek is, well, it's bleak. Coal and trash fires envelop the city in smog. It's grim, then beautiful, then grim, then beautiful all over again. And also kind of weird. The city's circus, for example, takes place inside a decaying UFO. Now, I'm not going to dazzle you with the usual robots and DNA editing. The story here is about a fragile democracy trying to find its place in the modern world.
Our people were so courageous to go and do the revolution and fight for it. I saw it. They were shooting people.
It's about a landlocked nation, one with very few natural resources, hoping to gin up a tech industry on the fly.
We are limited by resources. I like it that we don't have resources. Otherwise, if everything would be okay, so we would be lazy, guys.
Kyrgyzstan, it turns out, really wants to sell the rest of the world on its software engineers and its internet creators. And on that score, they've had at least one major success. Believe it or not, some of the most popular videos on YouTube are cooked up right here in Bishkek.
Hello, welcome to Debillions home. Let me show you around. Here we make some shoots for our channel. This is the actor's room. Hello guys. Hello. Hey. Animation Studio A. Animation Studio B. Welcome to Audio Recording Studio. What up guys? Hello. I think all our singers are here. Hello. Hello. Aman, who got 2.5 billion views. Everybody knows these guys. Everybody knows these guys in Kyrgyzstan. To be the part of this team, it's a dream team, really.
I'm not gonna lie. I came here in small part to kind of make fun of Debillions. It's a kids show on YouTube, and if you have Spawn, there's a very good chance they have consumed some of this. It's not exactly high art. Some people might even call it villainous ear poison.
Shake, shake, move your body, shake, shake, move your body.
But whatever you think doesn't really matter. They get the views. Debillions and debillions of them.
This is our diamond button. First in Central Asia. This is our trophy. We achieved it that we got
10 million
subscribers.
How did a 50-person outfit in a country many people have never heard of achieve this kind of success? To find out, I sat down with the founders, husband and wife team, Ernest and Chulpani. Ernest is a producer, and Chulpani is a singer and actor.
I do this for a living, you know, research people. There's like nothing about you guys. The Western press has not sort of.
It's gonna be first interview.
This one.
This one,
right?
yes.
Okay, this is what I was wondering.
Because we don't like it. We just want to work.
For people who have never seen any of your shows before, can you explain what Debillions is?
Debillions is a group focusing only on kids songs. We have 13 channels in different languages.
And the two of you, you're a husband and wife, right?
Yeah.
And
we grew up together studying in theater children's choir. That's called Akshola. And we took part in many international kids festivals. And when Ernest was 15 years old, he created teenage group. We were rapping, breakdancing, singing classic songs, pop songs. That was the beginning of the Billions. We had all the experience we needed to work on YouTube. We have 4 music videos with 1 billion views. And in addition, when we first saw the Baby Shark video, it already had 1 billion views. Ernest said, I also can make such a song.
Yummy, 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 yummy. So yummy. Yummy.
Here's how that went.
Yummy, yummy, yummy. So yummy.
So what's the secret sauce?
I like it. I like it.
I think kids loves the rhythm of the song, like yummy, 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 yummy.
So yummy.
Yummy, 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 yummy.
So yummy.
Kids loves to repeat it. And there is one more secret. It's in minimalism.
I am a triangle. I am a triangle.
Every song has a goal to teach 1 or 2 words without overloading kids' attention.
Unicorn!
Statistics show that the most minimalist songs break all records.
You heard her, internet creators. Now go get those debillions. Okay, so maybe it's not the most mind-improving content, but it is some kind of modern phenomenon. Debillions is just one of a dozen channels this company is feeding, and their success has allowed them to recruit the best singers, graphic artists, and composers in the country, all to pump out videos at hyper speed.
this is a very American, crass question. How big is the business in terms of not just viewers, but it must be like huge in terms of revenue?
мүмкін қырғызстандық компания болған үшін қырғызстан үшін біз жақсы ақша тапқан компаниялардың қатарына кірісуіміз мүмкін. Бирок Американың обороттары, Американың компанияларының жанында біз ең кичинекей компаниялардың бири болуп калдык окшойбуз.
Ernest didn't want to get into exact numbers. So let's take a wild guess, shall we? Other YouTube Kids channels with similar view counts have reported earning millions, even tens of millions of dollars per year. Debillions might take a hit from having many viewers outside the US, but it's safe to say they're doing well for themselves. The whole enterprise gets a boost from the Kyrgyz government and industry too, through a program called IT Park. The hope is to conjure a flourishing Kyrgyz tech industry out of thin air by giving companies like Debillions massive tax breaks.
Participants of IT Park, they are free from all taxes except 1% income tax. And we are participants of IT Park, and that's been a great support from our government.
But the picture wasn't always this rosy for Debillions. Virality might come easy to these folks, but trying to get paid on YouTube, that's a whole other thing.
Before the Debillions, there was a channel, AWA, AWA. We were working there. And we got one hit cartoon. It was 42 million views. That was for us phenomenal.
I would kill for 42 million views.
42 million views. Oh my God, that was unbelievable. That moment was for us like the phenomenal.
Yeah.
Said like, wow, a video so 42 million.
But then
they cut our monetization in AWA.
Yeah.
And we didn't get any
YouTube
money
cut the money?
from it. Yes,
YouTube got the money. Why?
Demonetization.
Why?
We break some terms. We didn't know some rules.
Okay.
That's why we
And
just...
nobody tell us all the
Nobody
rules.
teach us even.
What we should to do. We were working 2 years just for free.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a very hard time
We're
for us.
starving.
So it sounds like it was sort of frightening for a while, like scary.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you were a couple with a young child and taking all this financial risk.
Money, no. Vera, believe, только believe.
The world needs ways to reduce carbon emissions.
ExxonMobil can help.
We're working on solutions for our business.
That can also help businesses like yours.
Heavy industry with low emissions. Let's deliver.
For almost 100 years, we've approached investing a bit differently. Choosing a private ownership model that allows us to focus on our clients' long-term investment objectives. We've built a global network of innovative investment teams to help our clients capture tomorrow's opportunities in today's complex markets.
Welcome to Wellington.
Wellington Management. Invest in unique perspectives.
But we hadn't taken action.
Parliament has to stick to this and has to comply with the debt brake. The debt brake is really a good ally.
I think we have made addressing inequality a key sort of driver of our policies.
Bloomberg. Context changes everything.
I may have come here to tease, but my time with the DeBillions crew left me amazed. The vibe at the office was more hardworking, fun-loving family than moron-filled influencer mansion. And there was creativity everywhere. Boom Boom can play basically any instrument. Ernest and Chopani have an obvious eye for talent and a gift for reading the whims of the internet. And instead of staff meetings, DeBillions has all-hands campfire sing-alongs.
It was just a small warm-up before the shooting our cartoons.
Of course, to really understand DeBillions, I had to become DeBillions. Behold, American Daddy, savior of YouTube children.
I'm about to be a superhero in a DeBillions video. You go to Kyrgyzstan and amazing things happen.
When you do it, at the end, just you can do like flying up.
Okay.
Same, but with this side.
Okay. I'm super dad. People are in trouble. I must save them.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Camera, action.
Help! 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 Help!
Where are they?
Help!
So, it's okay. Now we're on the ground.
I'll help. Don't worry. Don't worry. Thank you for teaching me to be a superhero. And now I want to see that. I want to see the professionals work.
Camera is.
DeBillions told me they would animate this all together into something amazing. In the meantime, allow me to tell you some less kid-friendly things about the Kyrgyz Republic. The country became part of the Soviet Union in 1936. The Soviets did their best to try and turn a rural, very poor society into something else. Mostly, they poured money into Bishkek, and the buildings and people followed. The Kyrgyz Republic arrived in 1991. It's a democracy, but not exactly a grade A democracy. Votes can be bought and sold. And there's a not infrequent number of coups. It's a Muslim nation, but religion does not feel like it takes center stage here. Today, the country's ties to Russia remain strong, with cheap energy meant to keep the Kyrgyz people sweet. It's a precarious position, and one from which many people here hope to break free. The Billions is meant to represent what Kyrgyzstan can be in the future. A more modern nation, one full of creativity and expression. But this journey is not always smooth. Take, for example, the story of Zere, one of the most famous singers in the country. She's YouTube famous too, but in a very different way.
I started thinking, okay, I should do something big, something about women's rights, because that's what I care about deeply right now. And so I just started writing a song. I made my friends listen to it. They said maybe I should do a video, so that's how it all started.
And you did go viral.
I did, I guess. Yeah.
When you did this song, obviously the lyrics of the song brought up a lot of issues that some people were, you know, very happy to see being discussed openly. And obviously a lot of people were less happy. And then in the video, I think you were wearing a bra and people were, you know, what happened?
So the reaction was basically enormous. I thought that the provoking stuff would be seeing like a girl in hijab besides a girl in a bikini and, you know, all of that diversity that has never been seen before. But the provoking thing was something that I literally just decided like in a second, you know, I was like, okay, I'm gonna look like this. That was the main trigger for the whole dialogue to start. I was sort of ready for some backlash, sort of ready for some, you know, bullying or stuff like that, but it always seems easy in theory.
Well,
but I think...
You got death threats and...
I did get death threats, and there were a lot of them, actually.
Do you still face a lot of the pushback, or has it sort of died down? Like, is it uncomfortable for you to walk down the street?
I wouldn't say I'm comfortable walking in any street.
It was a terrible example, yeah, because I've heard you sing about this, yeah.
Yeah, like on top of the catcalling and everything that you get as a woman, if you're also like a feminist who was naked on the screen and all of that, that also puts other layers, you know?
Part of the reaction was how you were dressed, but the part of the reaction was the things you were talking about.
Yes.
And the stories I read just said, these are things that aren't often discussed.
Well, I think they were always discussed, not just collectively like that, you know, not through one thing that everyone has an opinion on.
How would you describe the issues that women face broadly?
For an average woman in Kyrgyzstan, it's hard everywhere, like at home, in the streets. You can literally get kidnapped, like, and made a bride. You're supposed to marry your rapist, basically, when you get kidnapped as a bride. Unfortunately, it still happens. It doesn't happen as often as, you know, before, but still it does happen.
The world needs ways to reduce carbon emissions,
especially for heavy industry. We're working on solutions in our own operations.
Like carbon capture.
And clean energy from hydrogen.
So who are we?
Believe it or not, ExxonMobil. And these solutions can help businesses like yours.
Or yours.
Or yours.
Heavy industry with low emissions. Let's deliver.
For almost 100 years, we've approached investing a bit differently. Choosing a private ownership model that allows us to focus on our clients' long-term investment objectives. We've built a global network of innovative investment teams to help our clients capture tomorrow's opportunities in today's complex markets.
Welcome to Wellington.
Wellington Management. Invest in unique perspectives.
Picked up a camera and I became a professional photographer soon after. And it's one of those things that it's like learning another language. You learn a few words and then you put a few sentences together, and one day you might be able to write poetry.
Kyrgyzstan is bizarrely famous, or rather infamous, for the practice of bride kidnapping. Women are grabbed off the streets and forced into marriage. No one in the country seems to agree on how prevalent this is. Although in my short time here, I met several women who told me they had been kidnapped or had family members who had been kidnapped. The practice was only made illegal a couple of years ago, and it's questionable how much the law is actually enforced.
If a woman gets harassed, beaten up at home, assaulted in the streets, and a lot of other stuff that can happen to women, you go to the police is never gonna help you. I've never seen one case in my life where the police was actually helpful in these issues.
We asked the Kyrgyz government to comment on all this, but we never heard back.
And can I just add that I'm saying this absolutely like being in love with this country. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm complaining and like trying to go somewhere. No, like I want to be among those people who try and make Kyrgyzstan at least like a safer place to live.
Is there a sense that things are changing? If I look, there was a female president relatively recently, I think the first in Central Asia. Is there a sense that things are changing, or like, do you feel like it's just the same as it ever was?
I myself, I'm very amazed and inspired by a lot of what women do in our country. And you're right, like relatively speaking, in the region where we are, we have some better stuff going on, but that's relatively speaking, you know. There's a lot still to do, for sure.
The next night, the Debillions crew invites me out for an evening of revelry. Bishkek style.
Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna hold. Aisha, Regan woman.
After getting good and tipsy on Kyrgyz lager, it's time for the grand unveiling.
This is as exciting as it gets. I get to see myself as USA Super Daddy on a big screen.
there's every chance the Billions is a one-off that got lucky hitting the internet just right. But Kyrgyzstan is betting and hoping that this is the start of a full-on tech revolution within the country.
The world needs ways to reduce carbon emissions.
We're working on solutions for our business.
Like carbon capture.
That could also help businesses like yours.
Heavy industry with low emissions. Let's deliver.
For almost 100 years, we've approached investing a bit differently. Choosing a private ownership model that allows us to focus on our clients' long-term investment objectives. We've built a global network of innovative investment teams to help our clients capture tomorrow's opportunities in today's complex markets.
Welcome to Wellington.
Wellington Management. Invest in unique perspectives.
Everyone's talking about AI. But how can it help your business? Can it make chatbots act like your very own personal assistant? Yes. Put AI to work with ServiceNow.
Bloomberg has enhanced search on the terminal to deliver what you need when you need it. Now, you can simply type phrases in everyday English in the command line. Compare financials. Find people. Analyze markets. You can enter phrases or ask questions. What do you want to know today? Ask a question or visit SearchGo to find answers now.
It's the world's second largest economy with a growing influence in global affairs. But geopolitical uncertainties, deflationary pressures, and questions about foreign investment linger. Bloomberg, The China Show, brings you the unmatched expertise you need to keep track of breaking news, in-depth market analysis, and the most influential newsmakers in and around China. Bloomberg, The China Show. Now, weekdays at 9 a.m. Hong Kong time, right here on Bloomberg. Context changes everything.
You formed a partnership with Penny Pritzker at some point to do parking, is that right?
Yeah, so when I was working at JLL, that we went through this real estate recession in the early 90s, and the senior people at the firm said, let's do a retrospective on all these different asset classes to see what happened. How we overpaid, why we ran into so much trouble, what really happened in the marketplace. And when I did that, I recognized, well, there were a lot of reasons why I liked the parking assets better than I did office and retail and industrial. And so I started really noodling on the differences between those asset classes and came up with a rationale to start a business in the parking space. But I crossed paths with Penny Pritzker, who later became our Secretary of Commerce. And she liked the idea, and she and I went off on this adventure together and built a real estate operating company in the parking space.
DOJ or other authorities.
Could face bigger challenges next.
It was going to keep in World Cup. This is a 3 as the economic picture, covering the intersections of Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and beyond.
Welcome to Daybreak Australia. I'm Heidi Stroud-Watts in Sydney, where markets have just come online.
I'm Annabelle Drawlers in Hong Kong. We're counting down to Asia's major trading opens and the top stories this hour. Asia set for a weaker open after another hot US inflation report reinforces bets that the Fed will not be rushing to cut rates.
Oil hitting a 4-month high as the IEA warns of a supply deficit throughout this year. Macquarie sees energy markets kicking off a cyclical upswing.
And we hear exclusively from the US ambassador to China, Nicholas Burns, about the bill to ban TikTok and curbing Beijing's access to high-tech chips.
The People's Liberation Army will take advantage of that technology to strengthen itself at the expense of the American military. We're not going to do that. We're not going to compromise on national security, and we're not going to negotiate.
All right, let's get you straight to the Friday Freres. Markets come online here in Asia, and it is looking like a pretty mixed picture as we head into this final trading session of the week. Bit of weakness still already quite apparent when it comes to the start of trading here in Sydney as we get that staggered start, about 1/4% lower already in the first couple of minutes or so of trade. We're really primed for a downbeat open. Declines on Wall Street as we saw new data weakening the case for any kind of imminent emergency for the Fed to act quickly when it comes to interest rate cuts. It has been the consolidation of these inflation expectations being repriced across bond markets and across equity investors as well. We are seeing futures for Australia. They had been flagged lower. Japan and Hong Kong are also sitting a little bit softer now as well. Taking a look at currency, 65.77 is where we've kind of seen the Aussie trading. Pretty range bound really has been the trading action for the Bloomberg Dollar Index over the past few sessions, but certainly that repricing of PPI and inflation expectations is playing a part of that. Taking a look at what is going to be a key day when it comes to Japan. Of course, we're looking really at these wage negotiations, the outcome of this collated wage report and how that's going to really potentially play into, is it going to be the end of a bull run with a Bank of Japan pivot that finally comes? And does that come as early as next week? Market pricing is a bit all over the place for that as well. Kiwi stocks are down by just about 0.5% already in this morning's session. And if you take a closer look at Japan, certainly we have seen potentially the upside to this market possibly reaching a bit of a peak, at least when it comes to some of these key drivers of the segments that have been driving this rally, the likes of bank stocks in Japan, Belle.
Yeah, really that focus on what are we going to get out of the BOJ next week. But this is the outlook here we've got for US stocks as well. As you said, it really was that focus on data in the overnight session here. We had retail sales. They suggested a slowdown in consumer spending, but it did seem, as you say, that focus was on the PPI numbers, stronger than expected. We had signs of resilience as well coming through in the labour market. And so